Greetings to all. This is Dr. Sugantha, Head of the Department of Economics, and I will be handling you the Rural Economics course. Let's move on to Unit 4. Take a moment to observe your surroundings, especially in public places. Have you ever noticed beggars on the streets or rickshaw pullers haggling over a few extra rupees? Consider the increasing crime rate and drug abuse among even young children in our society. While there may be various reasons for these issues, poverty in India appears to be a prominent cause. Welcome to this presentation on rural poverty. India is the fastest growing economy in the world today, but extreme poverty remains a roadblock in India's path of becoming an economic superpower. India continues to grapple with poverty, although recent progress has been notable. As of 2023, approximately 10% of the Indian population lives below the $2.15 poverty line, a substantial improvement from 22.5% in 2011. Urban-rural disparities persist with around 11.9% of rural residents in poverty compared to 6.4% in urban areas as per UNICEF and World Bank. Despite these gains, regions like Bihar, Jharkhand and Uttar Pradesh remain poverty hotspots. In Bihar, over half of the population is classified as poor. However, the government has been working actively towards eradicating this gross reality from society. Poverty may be defined as a social condition where individuals do not have financial means to meet the most basic standards of life that is acceptable by the society. Individuals experiencing poverty do not have the means to pay for basic needs of daily life like food, clothes and shelter. The direct consequences arise from this problem are hunger, malnutrition and leading to diseases which have been identified as major problems across the world. Poverty in rural India is especially severe, with statistics revealing that 1 in 5 Indians lives in poverty. Approximately 80% of this impoverished population resides in villages, indicating rural poverty's prominence. Addressing poverty is crucial for meeting the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly the goal to end poverty in all forms by 2030. Rural poverty, statistics and global comparison. According to the World Bank, rural poverty affects a significant portion of the Indian population. India has become a focal point for global poverty reduction efforts due to the high concentration of impoverished individuals in rural areas. The Sustainable Development Goals prioritize poverty eradication and highlight India as a critical region for making meaningful progress. Globally, Sub-Saharan Africa has the highest poverty levels, with South Asia following closely. India within the South Asian regions holds one of the largest poor populations globally. This reality underscores the importance of targeted measures to alleviate poverty, particularly in rural areas where challenges hinder development. The rapid population growth in certain states places additional strain on resources and employment opportunities. Addressing these economic disparities through job creation, skill development, and improved agricultural practices is essential for sustainable poverty reduction. Let's now dive into the causes of poverty. Demographic and economic factors. Poverty in India is linked to various demographic and economic factors, including outdated agricultural practices that limit productivity. Farmers often lack modern equipment and resources, leading to low income and prolonging a cycle of poverty. Unequal wealth distribution exacerbates this issue as a small percentage of the population controls a majority of the nation's resources. Unemployment is another significant contributor, with many families lacking a regular source of income. The employment gap creates financial instability and limits access to essential services, trapping individuals in poverty. Addressing these issues and causes requires systematic changes in wealth distribution, agricultural modernization, and job creation. The next, moving on, will be social causes. Education, inequality and corruption. Education plays a pivotal role in breaking the poverty cycle, yet illiteracy remains prevalent in rural areas. While school enrollment rates have improved, the dropout rates remains high, especially at the secondary level. This educational disparity limits individuals' ability to pursue better economic opportunities, reinforcing poverty. Social customs and gender inequality further compound poverty. Gender biases restrict opportunities for women, leading to an underutilized workforce. Corruption also hampers poverty reduction efforts by diverting resources from those in need. Addressing these social causes is essential for fostering a more equitable society and reducing poverty. So, what are the consequences of extreme poverty? Poverty impacts economic growth as needy individuals lack access to basic health, education and job opportunities. Poor health outcomes such as high infant mortality rates and malnutrition are prevalent in impoverished communities, limiting economic development and creating a cycle of dependency. Furthermore, extreme poverty often leads to social issues including domestic violence and substance abuse. The stress of financial instability creates family tensions, leading to adverse social behaviors. According to UNICEF, poverty's impact on health and education remains stark, with malnutrition and limited healthcare access contributing to high child mortality rates. In 2023, around 1.7 million children received treatment for severe malnutrition, reflecting ongoing nutritional challenges. Education is also affected, with only a fraction of poor children gaining access to quality learning materials. Addressing these consequences requires a multifaceted approach focusing on economic, social and health interventions to break the poverty cycle. Let's now dive into the various estimation of poverty, methods and trends. Poverty estimation in India has evolved over the years, with the NITI Aayog now overseeing the process. Data collected by the National Sample Survey Office is used to estimate the poverty line, which relies on consumption expenditure rather than income. This shift highlights the importance of understanding spending habits to accurately capture the poverty levels. Historically, India used different methods to assess poverty, such as Uniform Resource Period (URP) and Mixed Reference Period (MRP). These methods provide insights into household consumption and inform policy decisions. Estimating poverty accurately is crucial for implementing the effective poverty alleviation programs. As per global statistics estimates, from 2023 place India's poverty line at Rs 972 in rural and Rs 1407 in urban areas per month. These benchmarks guide policy frameworks aimed at reaching vulnerable groups and reducing the poverty across the regions. So, what is absolute and relative poverty? Definitions and implications. Let's see the definition. Absolute poverty refers to severe deprivation of basic human needs such as food and shelter. It is measured by determining the cost of essential items required for survival. Households falling below this threshold are classified as absolutely poor, and the focus is on ensuring these basic needs are met. Relative poverty, on the other hand, considers income disparity within a society. Households that earn significantly less than the median income are classified as relatively poor, highlighting social inequality. While not deprived of basic necessities, relatively poor individuals often struggle to meet the standard of living prevalent in society. According to World Bank report, absolute poverty in India is measured against a baseline cost of essential items, and as of 2023, about 10% of the population lives below the $2.15 per day threshold. Relative poverty, which assesses inequality within society, is also a concern as economic disparity increases with urbanization. Let's move on to the pre and post independence poverty estimation. India's poverty estimation efforts began with the National Planning Committee in 1938, which proposed a per capita monthly poverty threshold. Subsequent assessments such as the Bombay Plan and the Planning Commission's rural-urban differentiation laid the foundation for understanding poverty across diverse demographics. Post-independence, committees like the Alahak and Tendulkar committees refined poverty metrics to reflect modern economic realities. The Tendulkar Committee's Uniform Poverty Line Basket introduced a more standardized approach to estimating poverty, adjusting for cost of living differences across the rural and urban areas. The Tendulkar and Rangarajan Committee's 2009's recommendations introduced a new poverty line based on basic nutritional needs. It set rural and urban poverty thresholds, highlighting cost differences between urban and rural living. These reforms helped refine the poverty metrics and guide targeted policies. The Rangarajan Committee later refined this approach by incorporating additional elements such as healthcare and education expenditures into the poverty line basket. This inclusion provided a more comprehensive view of living costs, supporting more nuanced poverty alleviation strategies. The economic and population factors affecting the rural poverty, economic dependency on agriculture contributes significantly to rural poverty, as many farmers lack modern resources to increase the productivity. This underdeveloped agricultural sector limits job opportunities, resulting in widespread poverty among rural populations. Population growth further exacerbates the rural poverty by increasing the demand on limited resources. Improved healthcare has lowered death rates but has not significantly impacted birth rates, leading to resource strain in rural communities. Addressing these factors requires interventions to modernize agriculture and manage the population growth. So, what are the early initiatives? We will now discuss on the early initiatives of poverty eradication programs. Early poverty eradication initiatives such as Sampurna Gramam Rojgar Yojana in 2003 aimed to create employment and provide basic food security in rural areas. This program laid the groundwork for a more stable rural economy focusing on food distribution and wage-based employment. In 2005, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act introduced guaranteed employment for rural households. This initiative emphasized creating jobs for women and strengthening rural infrastructure, setting the stage for sustainable development in impoverished areas. So, what are the poverty eradication programs? Now, we will discuss on the recent initiatives of the poverty eradication programs. In recent years, the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana 2016 has provided LPG connections to marginalized households, aiming to reduce reliance on traditional fuels. This initiative promotes better health and reduces environmental pollution, improving quality of life for rural families. Other programs such as the Solar Charkha Mission and Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandan focus on employment and social security. By creating job opportunities and ensuring financial security in old age, these programs address both immediate needs and long-term poverty reduction. To conclude this presentation, government initiatives like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana aim to provide housing for impoverished individuals, ensuring shelter as a fundamental right. These schemes reflect a comprehensive approach to poverty alleviation, addressing immediate needs while fostering long-term empowerment. The Startup India and Stand Up India programs encourage self-employment, aiming to reduce poverty through economic empowerment. By supporting entrepreneurship, these initiatives offer a sustainable path out of poverty, enabling individuals to build financial independence and contribute to economic growth. As per UNICEF and UNDP, India's poverty alleviation efforts from the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana to the Startup India initiative reflect a multifaceted approach to empower individuals economically. The 2023-24 SDG India Index shows a significant increase in India's score from 60 to 72, reflecting progress in poverty eradication goals. These initiatives aimed at boosting self-sufficiency align with India's commitment to the SDGs. By focusing on livelihood, health and education, these programs aim to lift millions out of poverty, creating a more equitable society. Thank you all for your attention.